Welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Kasturi and I am so excited to film today's video because it is another wrap up. So we have completed another 3 months of the year and I have read 12 books in the last 3 months that I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to tell you about my rating, and just like the previous one, we'll go from my least favorite to my most favorite in all the books that I've read. I'm also going to link my previous wrap up video down in the description box if you haven't watched that. So without any further delay, let's get into the books. Before we get into the video, I just want to apologize for the lighting because I absolutely hate filming in this room, in this lighting. But Menak is in the living room playing games, and this is the weekend. This is the only time that he gets to do all of these things for himself. So I didn't want to disturb him, so I'm just gonna film it here. But I hope this doesn't take away from the video anything, because we're gonna talk about books. We're gonna talk about some books that you can take as recommendations, and I just really hope that you enjoy this video. If you see me look down, I am just going to look at my notebook here where I have written down all the books that I have read in the last 3 months and I have rated them. So we have books that ranges from 3 star to 4.5 star. Once again, I have not found a 5 star. We're already 6 months into the year and I haven't found a single 5-star book. It is scary. So my least favorite book of this quarter, and the book that I have given 3 star, is Evie by D.J. Doyle. This is an extremely short, extreme horror book that deals with a father and a son living on the farm. There's women and there's sheep, and that's all I'm gonna say because it's literally 25 pages and I'm sure with just that gist you know what's happening. It is extreme horror, so if you're not into it, I wouldn't really recommend it because this is not something where you can dip your toe and bring it out. I definitely think 25 pages is not enough to have a great story, especially if it's an extreme horror, because you're not really getting connected to any of the characters. You're just seeing the extremes of the horrific things that are happening and you don't really connect as to why they're happening and what is the psyche behind it, and that's exactly what happened with this book. So I couldn't connect with any of the characters and just the story felt very predictable. It did not feel like I was shocked in like a very oh my god, that was just crazy kind of way. No. So yeah, I gave it a 3 star. It was like, yeah, a one-time short read. The next book that I have given 3 star is Over My Dead Body by Mars Evans. And this book, I even have made a reel, like a YouTube short on it. So if you're interested, you can go watch that. I've talked a little bit more about it in that. But basically, this is about a Dr. Miriam Price who is dead. But she is convinced that she has been murdered and she's on a mission to find out who killed her. Because, well, if she does not, then she really wouldn't go to like a luxury part of the afterlife. The concept is very interesting of this book, this person being stuck in the afterlife, and then there is this level, and if you're like in a very high upgraded level, or if you have done great deeds, then of course you go on to living really peacefully, and if you haven't, then well, you're just stuck in a very, very bad place. So the concept is very interesting. I've always liked the concept of this afterlife, and I just feel like it's just, especially if you're trying to bring in humor, it's like a great concept. And although I will say I really, really enjoyed the main character, Miriam Price, I just feel like the entire story, the mystery of her trying to find out who killed her, just got lost. The author focused a lot on like the social issues, which is great, which is important that we read about them. But it just felt like that was like more of the main topic rather than solving the mystery. And by the ending, it felt like the author suddenly remembered, oh my god, I have to solve this mystery, like who killed her, and that's when the revelation happened. And even with that revelation, although honestly I did not see it coming, because it just felt like very far-fetched. So overall, like, just the mystery was not executed really well. And we also had a lot of like character background of Miriam's brother, which I thought would link into something grand. It just did not. So I was just not enjoying the book as much. But again, if you're looking for like a cozy mystery, easy one-time read, you can check this book out. The next book that I give 3 on 5 star is The Return by Rachel Harrison. And this is the first Rachel Harrison that I have read, and I remember when this book initially came out, everybody went like crazy on YouTube saying it's such a great read. I do not agree as much. But basically, this book is about 2 best friends, Julie and Elise, and Julie goes missing one day. And they also have 2 other friends whose name I've completely forgotten. But Elise thinks that Julie will come back, and then Julie does return 2 years later. But there is something very, very different about Julie. And so all of them plan to go on this girls' trip, all 4 friends, and things just go crazy. I feel like this kind of horror is for like a particular audience, and I am not one of the people who enjoy this kind of horror. I don't want to give anything away because if I feel like if I talk any more about this book, it's going to be a spoiler. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. Definitely check it out. It's a little different, but it's just not my kind of horror. Now we're moving on to the 3.5 stars. So this is not a book but a collection of short novellas. So this is called the Creature Feature Collection that was originally released by Amazon Original, and it is written by like different authors. So there are 6 stories that are featuring creatures in their stories. So we have stories by Grady Hendrick, we have a story by Jason Mott. I don't remember the name, I'm really sorry. There's a story by Josh Malaman, there's a story by Joe Hill, and we have 2 other authors which I'm just completely blanking on their names. My least favorite one was of Josh Malaman's story, which is very surprising because I loved Bird Box. I definitely think Josh Malaman can do a novel really well. I'm not very sure when it comes to like a novella, like a short story. And my favorite story was The Ankle Snatcher by Grady Hendrix. It was unique, it was fun, it was like a fun twist on your, regular boogeyman story. So yeah, you can definitely check it out if you're into creature feature kind of horror. So yeah, I have also made like an elaborate vlog on the Creature Feature Collection, so I'm also going to link that video in the description box below if you're interested, check it out. The next book that I rated 3.5 star is Sundial by Catriona Ward. I also did a vlog on the Catriona Ward. Like, there are 2 books that I read by her. Again, gonna link that in the description box below. But Sundial is basically a mother-daughter horror story. It's very difficult for me to give like a gist of what this book is about because Catriona Ward writes this bizarre, weird stories that you don't understand what's happening until you reach the ending because everything falls placed together at the end. So when you start the book, you're just completely like confused and you're just like, what is this weird book? But basically in Sundial, we see a family where there's mother and the father, and there's 2 daughters. So one's daughter's name is Callie, and again I'm completely blanking on the name of the mother for some reason. But the mother suspects that something is wrong with Callie, and like Callie has these weird habits and tendencies, and then Callie is very scared of the mother, and she thinks that the mother doesn't like her but likes her sister more. And because of all this, the mother thinks that the best way to have the mother-daughter bonding session is to take Callie to the mother's like childhood home, which is like deep in this desert, and it's called Sundial. And once they reach there, we come to know about a lot of things, and the story shifts between like what happened when the mother was a child, and it also like we also see the story from, oh yeah, I remember the mother's name. I think her name is Rob. Yeah, I think that's her name. So Rob's childhood, it also we also read from Callie's perspective, and Rob is also writing a story, so there's like a story within a story. And yeah, so we also see how that story is unfolding, but basically it's a very confusing story, but you have to like stick till the end. Now, I did not really enjoy this book as much as I wanted it to be. I don't know, it just felt very, very boring. Like I had to force myself to finish it to reach the end because I was filming it for the vlog and I wanted to know what happens at the end. And even when I reached the ending, I was not crazily mind blown by the ending. So yeah, overall it was not the greatest experience, but there are so many people who love Sundial, so I would still recommend it if you want to check it out. The next 3 books that I'm going to talk about, I have given them a 3.75. It was difficult to read because they were not as boring as like a 3.5 rating, but not as great as a 4-star rating. So yeah, 3.75 it is. And the first book that got a 3.75 is Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. I was like, in a mood to read all the books by Riley Sager because I wanted to read all of his book, including the new one, and then do a ranking video. I am still like not there, but I am making my way through his books. So Home Before Dark is about this girl who used to live in this big house with her family as a kid, and then something happens one night and the entire family leaves the house, and the house is known to be haunted. Now years later, she has inherited this house and she did not know that this house was still like hers. She thought it was sold. And years later, now she's come back to this house, finally trying to uncover what exactly happened. And we also have like a story within a story aspect in this book as well, because the father of this girl had written a book about what exactly happened that night and what all the events that led up to that night and them leaving the house. But how much truth is there in the story? None of us know until you read the book and you reach the ending. Now, like a Riley Sager classic, it has a twist at the end. And for me, I thought that was interesting. I don't think it was too like unpredictable or crazy, which I think is a little better for him because he tries to do this crazy plot twist that does not fare very well. But yeah, this was a pretty good read. So again, I would recommend it. I do think some parts were a little like slow for me, but overall I enjoyed the book. And the next book is also a Riley Sager book that I gave 3.75, and that is the only ones left. And this, oh my god, so the only reason I gave it, like, although they have the same rating, I think I prefer this a little more over Home Before Dark, just because the concept of this book is one of my favorite plot setting. This book is very interesting because it deals with this caregiver named Kit, who arrives at this Hope mansion where the infamous Lenora Hope lives, and she has been accused of killing her entire family. But now she is extremely old. One side of her is completely paralyzed, so she cannot really do anything or even walk. She's on a wheelchair. So Kit is someone to take care of her. Very similar to Verity setting, if you have read Verity, and I absolutely enjoy the setting a lot when this caregiver or someone arrives at a place and the other person, it's told that they cannot walk, they cannot talk, they cannot move, but you don't know if they can. And I just absolutely love that because it's just, you can do so much with that concept, with that plot. And yeah, it was very, very interesting. I think there was one twist, because there's a million twists in this one. Oh my god, I think like the last 50 pages, I'm not kidding, and all the YouTubers that you have watched who talked about this book, they are not kidding. It's just constant twists. And I feel like just one twist, the very first twist that came, made sense to me. Everything else just did not make sense at all. It was crazy and just did not make sense at all. But that one twist was very, very interesting. I liked it. I liked the setting. I liked it was very, very fast paced. I thought this was more fast paced than Home Before Dark, and that is the reason why it's a little above Home Before Dark. So yeah, I would definitely recommend you to read the book. But just be aware there's so many twists, and yeah, you might not like all of them because they just don't make sense. But just, I would say, for the journey, read the book. The next book that I read. Now, I wanted to film a separate video for this book because I just have so many things to discuss about this book. And none of this is true by Lisa Jewell. Okay, so let's talk about this book. This book is about two people. One of them is a podcaster and one of them, just your regular woman. And both of them have the same birthday. And this other woman approaches this podcaster and says that, you know what, it would be interesting if you interview me for your podcast. I want to tell my story to the world. And then the podcaster thinks, okay, that could be interesting because, they share the same birthday. They could call it the birthday twin, all of that stuff. So we see that part, and we also see, years later, there's a Netflix documentary made on these two women. And that is the whole plot. Sounds very interesting. And oh my god, this book is insanely fast-paced. Again, for me, if a book is very fast-paced, that means just I'm enjoying the journey. And I like books like that. But the ending, what happened at the ending, I don't even know. I don't want to say anything because I don't want to spoil it, of course. But what the hell? I mean, I don't know. I want to say it, but I feel like if I say anything, it could be spoiler. But I disagree with, the majority of people who say that they love this book. And, it was wow. And I just don't know. The ending, again, did not make sense at all to me. At all. This is one of those books, where I would give 0 star to the ending. That's how I feel about this book. If the ending, I feel was crazy, or not even crazy, even if it had a really nice twist, I would have definitely given it an extra star. But the ending just makes no sense, absolutely. So if you're thinking to pick up this book, by all means do, because it's such a fun book. You will really, really enjoy the journey. You will really get invested in the character's story. But don't expect the ending to be crazy. It's not. It's just, and there's so many plot holes is what I feel. I've seen so many spoiler reviews of this book, and I completely agree. There's a lot of plot holes. There's a lot of things that are left unanswered and they're never explained. They don't fit into the story properly. So yeah, I had to give it a 3.75. Now we are moving on to the 4-star books, and I have 3 books on this 4-star list. So the first one is 4 by Ian Reid. I think I have pretty much enjoyed all of Ian Reid's book, and I think I've read all of his books by now. I can do a ranking separate video of Ian Reid, but I feel with 3 books, I'm not sure, so we'll see. But 4 is about this couple. Hen is the wife and Junior is the husband, and they're living on this farm, and it's sort of in future. It's set in future, and one day they get a visitor, and the visitor says that they're trying to do some kind of program for which they want Junior to come with them because there was a lucky draw and Junior's name came up and it would be a good exposure, good experience. But Junior is very, very apprehensive about it because he's hey, I'm gonna go away from my wife, and who's gonna take care of her? And so they suggest something, and I don't want to say more than that because you have to read it. I definitely call the twist in this book. I'm sure, a lot of you who have read a lot of thrillers, or even if you have read stories that have a small twist in them, you can You can see this. But it was very, very interesting to read. I was invested in the story. I really enjoyed it. And the chapters are extremely short, so you constantly felt like flipping the pages, which I think worked really well. And that's always effective. If a book has short chapters, it's always effective because you're like, you know what, let me read another chapter. And the best part about this book, I think it was like the setting was so weird and not weird, like it was mysterious, and the characters were very eccentric, and it was a very cool, chill vibe. So I really enjoyed reading this book, and I highly, highly recommend this book. I recommend all of Ian Reid's book. I think he writes really well. The next book that I give 4 star, and I really enjoyed this book a lot, is Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney. Now, this is my second book by Alice Feeney, but Daisy Darker deals with this family. So this grandmother, and it's her birthday, and she's invited the entire family, and it's sort of like, it's like that. And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie setting. It's on an, I wouldn't say island, but it's like the house is like sort of on a cliff, and it's sort of cut off from the rest of the world. You have to take a boat or something to like reach there. And so yeah, so she has invited the entire family, and Daisy basically is the granddaughter. And yeah, so like when they all gather, suddenly, there's a storm and they're stuck there, and then people start dying. And that is one of my favorite favorite plot in a story. It's like a murder mystery where one after the other people are dying, and you as a reader have to figure out, oh my god, who killed, it's one out of all of them. And I know it's very difficult to have like a crazy twist when it comes to like the setting, because it's always someone among the group. But even then, it's just super fun. And I think this story had like this unique twist to it, which I know a lot of people could guess. I, for some reason, could not. But I was really happy with the twist. I think it made sense and it was fun, and I really liked it. So far, I'm very impressed with Alice Feeney's books, and I have yet to read her other books. I think Sometimes I Lie is very high on my list to read, because I've heard that book is really good. Then there's Good Bad Girl. Yes, I am looking forward to reading more of her books. The next book that I give 4 star is Runtime by Catherine Ryan Howard, and I really enjoyed this book. Very unique, very fun, and very eerie, atmospheric. I really like this book. It's about this woman who is an actress, and she finally gets her break. She has been called that, why don't you come and shoot and be the main lead in this horror film that they're shooting. And when she reaches to the set, she realizes that she's the only woman there, and then whatever is happening in the script starts happening on the set. And it's really eerie, really mysterious, very, very fun. And I highly, highly recommend this. And this book is very meta, because in this book, this actress is reading a script for the movie, and then in that script, the person is reading a book. And so whatever happens in the book happens in the script, and whatever is happening in the script is happening in the on the set. And it's crazy. And it's really fun. I highly, highly recommend to check out this book. Again, I have made a lot of vlogs of these books, so I'm going to list all of them in the description box. So, if you want to get more in-depth review and, just see my journey reading them, you can definitely go check them out. We have finally reached to the last book that I gave 4.5 star, that I really, really enjoyed, that, well, just slightly fell short of the 5 star, and I'll tell you the reason why. And it is The Last House on Needless Street by Catriona Ward. Absolutely like this book. Very fun, very, very weird, and ending was really, really impressive. So again, there's nothing to talk about this book, because you have to go into this book completely blind. Just know that it just deals with 3 perspectives. A father named Ted, then his daughter, I'm forgetting the daughter's name, and then the cat, the daughter's cat named Olivia. Yes, it has a cat's perspective. And you just have to read it to, just see how everything fits together, because trust me, if I say anything more, it's just gonna be a spoiler. And you have to stick to this book. You have to stick through this. A first 200 pages, nothing much happens. The things are happening, but in a very, very, a small scale, and very minute things are happening. And then everything comes together and just very nicely tied up by the end. And it was really, really good. It deals with one of my favorite plot twists, but the author just takes it to a different level, which I think is just so good. I could guess bits and pieces of the plot twist. I just couldn't guess the entire thing, and it's worth the read. You have to just stick with that first 200 pages. I know 200 pages is a lot, and that is one of the reasons why it's not a 5 star, because I feel like, I was kind of getting bored in some places, and I'm like, oh my god, nothing's happening, it's a little slow. But even then, I was just very, very intrigued to know how everything's going to come together. So take my advice, pick this book up, stick through the 200 pages, and I'm telling you, it's going to be worth it by the end. Those were the 12 books that I read in the last 3 months, and those were my ratings. I hope you enjoyed this video. I am actually a little slow on my reading, because I am currently going through a little bit of slump. So I'm trying to read shorter books, and hopefully I will be able to like give you guys more in-depth thoughts of my shorter books that I read in future. I'm also going to film like the mid-year freak out book tag. I have filmed it actually. So yeah, so that is gonna be up very soon. I have like some videos lined up, and I'm really sorry I'm not able to like be more active. I'm trying my best. My work is driving me crazy. But I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Please comment down below on which book you're reading, and if you've read any of the books that I talked about, or if you're interested in reading any of them, and how you're finding all the books that you're reading. And if you're new here, please don't forget to subscribe and press the notification bell so you get notified every time I make a video and upload it. And I will see you in the next video. So bye!